welcome to another Nifty City video. Today we'll be installing the digital cluster which replaces the OEM analog cluster on the GT-R. Here we go, it's finally come through, it's ready, it's done, and let's go ahead and go through the installation and play around with the cluster. Pry out this side panel here. Once you've removed the side panel, you then want to remove this plastic piece here just underneath the steering wheel by the handle. After you've removed those two screws for the hood latch, you can go ahead and start prying out the dashboard and prying it downwards from the top half of the dash. You don't need to fully remove the dashboard, just leave it like this and then you can continue working on the next part. Once you've removed the bottom half of the dashboard, you then want to remove the 4 bolts holding down the cluster. So there's the first bolt, second bolt, and then on the other side same thing. So once you remove those 4, you can go ahead and safely pry out the cluster. So as you can see here, then there's that plastic sleeve that you need to remove. Once you've loosened the cluster with the 4 bolts underneath it, you want to then go ahead and put the car in accessories so you can turn the steering wheel. Once you've done that, there'll be a plastic cover there. You just need to remove that with a flathead screwdriver and then remove the screw. Same thing for the other side. Then you can get access to this plastic top part, and once you have removed the sleeve, you can disconnect the 2 connectors from the back of the cluster and remove it as a whole. Remember to drop the steering wheel all the way down so you can have this removed out of that space. Okay, go ahead and bring the Nifty City Digital Cluster and the OEM cluster together in a nice peaceful area. Essentially, you want to remove the screws off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is underneath, and then 7. You want to go ahead and remove all those. So you can remove this first. So just like that, and then you want to remove 1 and 2, so you can remove the OEM cluster and then fit the digital cluster in replacement of the OEM one. Before removing the cluster entirely, remember to slide this one off. That's for the buttons at the front of the fascia, and remove the OEM one and put it aside. Then easily grab the Nifty City Digital Cluster and put it there. Okay, the Nifty City Digital Cluster is in the fascia. The 2 screws will work fine. However, if the screws are too small for the bottom piece in the corner here, you'll be provided a bag of 2 screws and 2 brackets inside the package. Just place the bracket on top like this, and then go ahead and use the screws provided by Nifty City to screw in the cluster to the bracket. Just to clarify, these brackets that come in the package only used for 2010 models and onwards. You don't need them for under 2010 models. Now, once you've put the digital cluster screen in its position, you want to then go ahead and remove brackets for the screw placement from the old OEM cluster from here. Slide them off with a flathead, and just like that, sliding them on, making sure the small hole is facing down towards the cluster. Put on the last piece, which is just here. You do need to sync the mileage of the car with the digital cluster. Very important step, and it may be illegal with most, if not all countries, to not sync the car mileage with the digital cluster. We'll show you how to do that now. Let's connect the connector to the back of the cluster. Connect this to the OBD2 port beneath the dash. Okay, I've connected the OBD2 connector to the digital cluster, and I've connected the OEM cluster back up the top of the one connector. Let's turn on the car. Go and check the kilometers or the mileage on the cluster, the OEM cluster, which is 8,643. Let's check it on the digital cluster, and there you are, it's 8,643. So that's a fully synced digital cluster. You may now remove the OEM cluster and slap on the Nifty City Digital Cluster. Okay, let's recap. I've gone ahead and put the Nifty City Digital Cluster in its position. 4 bolts from underneath the dashboard. I've synced the mileage with the OBD port. Now let's go ahead and turn on the car. Let's play around with all the settings. Okay, let's run through the controls. So this button here is the menu selection. This is the OK button or the select button. And then this is the up and down button or the next and previous button. Let's go through all the menu settings first. Overall, you can see here the speedo, petrol, the odometer reading. To scroll through all the menu items, we need to press this button here. Go through the menu items. So the first menu item here is the torque split. This is the temperature, battery, oil, pressure, etc. We have the trip distances and the fuel economy. Mind you, I'm still clicking this button up here. I haven't gone into any settings. This is the door notification. I've opened up the driver's door. Let's keep scrolling. HDMI. If you have the Mark II Tesla style screen, you can go ahead and sync the digital cluster with the Mark II Tesla style screen. In this instance, we're just using the Apple CarPlay module with the factory screen. We have the main settings, so you can select through different themes. To actually select to the next theme, we need to press this button here. So it'll load into a new theme now, and it's given us a dual speedo. This cluster does have built-in Apple CarPlay. Android Auto will come in a future update. However, it will possess both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless. You just need to connect to the Bluetooth name mentioned on the menu. Let's go back to those settings to try a different theme. And here we have the classic side to side. have the Infinity style side-to-side Tron kind of vibes. There's hardly any latency and it's pretty good. There's no lag. Let's go to theme number 5. And now jumping into theme number 5, we have the classic GT-R MFD gauges. And we've now loaded the classic New Z style kind of theme. So to scroll down this menu, we do need to use the up and down arrows instead. You can change the language to a language of your choice, and then you can change the units of the actual cluster from kilometers to miles or miles to kilometers. Same thing with the temperature, Celsius and Fahrenheit. So to go into the units, just click the select button, system check, and the upshift and downshift. So that's the overall cluster there. If you're on the main menu here, you can use the up and down arrows to change the brightness of the cluster. Let's change the menu item and jump into Apple CarPlay so we can navigate inside there. Okay, and then we use the up and down arrows to move to the menu selection or the item selection inside Apple CarPlay and search for an address. As long as that's highlighted, we then select the select button and then we scroll down to an address. And then we'll go ahead and punch it in, and that should bring up the maps automatically. There we go. Before we hop off the topic of Apple CarPlay, hold the select button for 3 seconds, and that should turn it into a full screen mode and push aside the gauges. So let's change the menu item. You've got the boost, measurement, torque split, and other different functionality that you can see on the cluster. All in all, I think this is a fantastic upgrade, especially having extra functionality. So there we have it. Once you're happy with everything on the cluster, you've synced the mileage or the kilometers, and if everything else has an accurate reading, you may go ahead and finish putting the car back together. If you have the check engine light on or the battery key fob error, just simply disconnect the battery for 10 minutes or use a diagnostics tool to clear the codes, and then you're done. Okay guys, that's the end of this series. This is the Nifty City Digital Cluster for the GT-R with 5 themes, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with all your factory options and readings inside this digital cluster. You can use it alongside the Apple CarPlay module by Nifty City or the Nifty City Tesla style screen, the 14.5 inch or any other Nifty City product. It does work independently. This digital cluster is available and suitable for all models globally. Guys, if you need this digital cluster for your GT-R or many other vehicles available on Nifty City, please go to www.niftycity.shop and get this cluster over on their website. You take care now, and we'll see you on the next video.